to see you all here today. My name is Victoria Strang. I am the director and lead organizer of the Rhode Island Interfaith Coalition to Reduce Poverty. This is our first Faith in Action Advocacy Day, and we are so excited. So we have a brief program for everyone. Some of you spent time just down the street at Gloria Dei Lutheran Church, where we had an Advocacy 101 training. We're going to hear from a few speakers this morning, and then we're going to get out and meet with our legislators so we can talk to them about ending this horrible practice of housing discrimination. So the first person I would love to introduce is Rabbi Howard Ross Altman. He has been a member of the steering committee of the Interfaith Coalition for several years, and he is the rabbi at Temple Bethel in Providence.
Thank you so much, Victoria, and thank you all for being here today. Thrilled at this turnout and because we are motivated by this issue. Today, our congregants and parishioners have joined together to raise their collective voices and speak truth to power. We've joined together to learn about the bread and butter issues that impact our neighbors' daily lives. The ever-increasing costs of decent housing, decent food, decent childcare, and decent education. The manifest injustice of a minimum wage that is not a living wage. A minimum wage that ensures the maintenance and institutionalization of poverty. The callous absence of economic, cultural, linguistic, and community support for our most recent neighbors, many of whom have fled from unimaginable circumstances. And with our consciences pricked and our voices raised, we've joined together to learn how we can be effective advocates with our political representatives, how we can influence the political system, and how we can use the ideals of our faith traditions to imagine and then put into action a more compassionate and more just society. In this week's Torah portion, the word is Bahar, literally, on the mountain. There we go. Our tradition teaches us about how to treat and care for the neediest in our community. 4 times in this portion, the Torah uses the phrase, quote, "and if your brother or sister should be reduced to poverty, so that we will know how to address their needs." For example, when a neighbor must sell his property to pay his debts, someone else must step forward to raise the money for its repurchase. If a neighbor falls into debt, it is forbidden to charge interest on any money or food given to her. And perhaps more importantly, our rabbis teach that the poor must never be embarrassed by their plight. That just getting through each day is struggle enough, without further judgment or shame. As our teacher Maimonides instructs us, quote, "if a person has no clothing, it is your responsibility to provide clothing. If furnishings for a home are needed, give furniture. If a person is hungry, offer food. And it must be done without delay." Accordingly, our advocacy today focuses on ending the unjust practice of housing discrimination based on one's source of income. Our advocacy upholds and affirms these religious tenets. When a neighbor is seeking decent housing and is turned away, now it's reportedly 80% of available rental units that they can afford, people are turned away because of source of income discrimination. It's not because the person lacks the funds to pay the rent, but because the landlord finds the source of her income to be distasteful. when we seek to end that practice. We are affirming our neighbor's right to decent housing. We are ending a practice of subjecting our neighbor to undue embarrassment, shame, and humiliation. Permitting this discrimination, which has the distinction of simultaneously punishing the poor for being poor and benefiting the rich for being rich. This discrimination is manifestly unfair, unjust, and must be corrected. Today, we will affirm our religious faith. We will work on behalf of those who are most in need. We will work on behalf of those who are most vulnerable. We will work on behalf of all those who are turned away from the fundamental rights that we believe in, pray for, and affirm each day. And working together as people of faith, today we will lobby our representatives and help make that happen. Our representatives, some of whom are here today, who we'll hear from. We welcome Senator Metz. We welcome Representative Williams. Representative Kislak just walked into the room. If there's someone else I may be missing, I apologize. Oh, thank you. Very good. Representative Kassar. Representative Donovan, thank you also for being here. We appreciate and urge your support. To continue on with our press conference today, it's my pleasure to welcome Wendy Thomas, who will offer some words and her story about what happened when in her attempts to rent an apartment here in Providence. We'll hear from that.